Okay, so here we are. This is the right side fuel tank. You can see some of the things, I don't know if you can see on the camera or not, some of the things I've had to do to get it to fit. This is DEI, or Design Engineering Inc. This is their Reflectagold. If you've seen the aluminum stuff that for reflection of heat, this is a lot better. This is what's used inside of Indy cars, and we used it on, not that I'm comparing my sleds to Indy cars, but we've used it on the inside of hoods of snowmobiles and protection of the exhaust and everything. And I found it works probably 3 times as good as anything that aluminum and asbestos backed. Like I say, it works really well, and we're gonna try to fit it to the inside of the tank here. To start with, I'm going to see how it works when I'm riding, but to start, I don't want to line the entire thing. I just want to cover the main heat of the engine. This will actually, there's a space between it and the other tank, so heat will just naturally come up on its own. But I really want to concentrate from here on down. Like this is the radiator. Around here, I want to protect where I've modified things. Simply because I've weakened the plastic. Well, not weakened it, but thinned it out a bit. Right in here, right in here is the clutch and the exhaust. On the original drawings, if you look at the instructions and everything, there was actually a piece of aluminum there because the exhaust is right here, and that would have protected the plastic quite a bit. Apparently, they've seen fit to remove that. I don't know, maybe it wasn't doing anything, who knows. But, so this is gonna go on here, probably like from about here down. And then I have a smaller roll to fill in the gaps and to help mold it and things like that. So here we go. So here's the first side, pretty much done. There's a little bit of trimming to go on. It's not perfect. The better this stuff goes, like the smoother it goes on, the better it works, but I'm dealing with a lot of contours and by no means a professional at this, so we just got her on as best as we could. Trimmed around the corners. Of course, where you want it for here, I had to trim that around. The other thing I've done is I've been thinking about it, it's like, how do I make it so I have a little bit of rubber isolation on these, on the bolts? So what I've come up with is I actually have got Tygon fuel hose. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Pink Tygon fuel hose over the bolts, which it fits right in there. Still has a little bit of room. When I tighten it up, it's going to expand that and give a little bit of cushion there. At least that way the threads of the bolt aren't going to be digging into the nylon or the plastic. Up top here, I still don't know what I'm going to do. I'll get there when I get there. So I'm going to get this one back on, do the other one, and then we're going to run some fuel lines. So you've probably seen enough of this. I think you get the idea of how this goes on, and we'll catch you in a few seconds. So I'm sure they're going to say that, this was all me, but this is just some of the crap that I pulled out of the fuel tank. It's kind of got blown all over the place. And one of their bolts apparently goes right through into the goop, so this guy is going to be inside the tank. I don't know why they didn't just cap it, but in the CNC. I don't know if you can tell, but this O-ring should butt up against this plate. All well and good. There is an O-ring in there that does the seal. This is just kind of the backup. But let's see, if I go here, I don't know if you can tell, but when I tighten this guy up, it deflects the plastic. This is dug right in here because this guy is too long. So when I was looking through what they had done, this guy is a button head. Well, the button head would fit there, no problem, and clear, but this one was in this spot. So I'm sure you're going to hear how this was my fault and I did this to discredit the company and blah, 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 blah. Horse malarkey, or horse hockey if you like. So take the fuel pump back out again. So here we have it out. The pink stuff here is actually O-ring grease. It's grease specifically made for doing what I'm doing here. What I had to do is I had to finish this off. Basically, I just got to step back so I can get the tool that I used here to do it. Pretty simple. It's an air angle grinder with a sanding disc on it. I basically just went around in there to try and keep the circle a circle, using the aluminum as a guide. Then when I was done, you can see how uneven it is because I just did it by hand. But basically, I went around at an angle to create a bevel because the O-ring was snagging on the sharp edge the machine had left. Now I imagine this was built on a machine that had a tool turret on it, a CNC machine. Oh, look at this! I just noticed that this one is sticking up too. Son of a bear. Anyways, so I imagine they would have had a round off, like or a ball end mill, that they could have just gone zzz once in the CNC program and would have forever made the life much easier for the technicians installing it. But you can see, like, we've got jutter marks here and jutter marks here, and everything is square edged. So that's what you can expect when you know, that's nothing I did. It's just the way this part was built. So if you get one of these, I would suggest actually taking a bit of time and rounding off the edges, like should have been done in the program to begin with. One of those minor little things. One of the major things, I'll try to get it in profile here. You see how that bolt and that bolt are sticking up past the mount? They can't. It will warp the plate and put everything under pressure, and it'll be all screwed up. So here we go again. Okay, so here we have it finally mounted. This bolt had that goop on it, and this one actually, this one I tried to clean off, didn't want to clean off, so I'm just gonna see if that goop will hold. I'm not super confident, but we're gonna try. This guy, I've actually got some fuel safe gasket sealer on there that I put at the base of the threads. Hopefully that'll seal everything up. This is these bolts here are ones that I provided. That's a 10.8 from a BMW kit that I did. These guys are 8.8s, I believe. Yep, 8.8s from Worth. The reason I had to use my bolts is, I'll just show you here. This is one of the ones that I used, and that's the ones they sent me. The reason I had to use these ones instead of these ones is that these ones would bottom out before I got any spring tension on there. So if you've ever taken one of the fuel pumps apart on the 450Fs, doesn't matter which one, these are actually collars that they're not supposed to bottom out, but they come very close to bottoming out. And then these are an actual spring washer. So the 6 of them together create tension on this ring, which holds this in place, which should keep the O-ring in place. The O-ring that I showed you that I had the pink grease on, that's what's actually doing the sealing. As long as it's up against the aluminum and the measurements I took, basically it should be. the other ring that's in there, the black ring that, I don't know if you can see it, it may look just like a shadow, but there's actually a black ring in there. That ring is actually supposed to direct the overflow out to here. That's what that little nibby is. And so basically the long and the short of it is the fuel pump is mounted. I blew out the tank again, and we'll see, because I created my own dust in doing the trimming there. This is a plate that I haven't put on. It's supposed to, it goes up with the stock pieces, just to protect that a bit. I'm thinking I might put it back on just to keep the wiring out of the way, and there's actually a little clip on here. I can run a zip tie through to keep the wiring nice and clean. Not sure, I might just run a small bracket here. So on we go. The next thing we're going to do is put the crossover in place and wrap that in heat shielding, and put it. They also provided a quick disconnect, which is really good because you might have to take the tank off. It's going to be interesting to see how we're going to run this, either through the frame or over the engine, anything like that, because any hump you're going to put in it is going to leave that level of fuel still in the tank. So we'll see how it goes, and because I want to run it as straight over as I can, and I'll be back in a few. So here we've got the fuel line in place. I actually snuck it underneath the motor, between the motor and the frame. These are just some overflows and stuff from the cooling system. Those will get routed a little bit differently. So basically, this is probably what you guys are interested in seeing. How'd I do that? So I'm still not super happy with this. I might cut this metal zip tie and turn the Velcro up top, just to keep the Velcro away from the heat. The Velcro is not heat rated, everything else is. So basically what I did was I just put some heat wrap, just a short little piece. I'm not a big fan of heat wrap, simply because it retains water and it'll rust everything out, and it's nasty when it does. So basically heat wrapped the pipe, heat wrapped the fuel line, and we'll go from there. Sorry, just a little piece of the heat sticking up there, heat shielding. So you can see we've got the heat reflector all the way around the bottom. That should try and help keep the heat away. I got to do what I can to try and keep the fuel cool, because it's, this I don't see. The only other way I could see doing it is actually running it back around, well, basically under here, and then over the top, and then back. That'll keep it almost like, it'll basically keep it to about here, which means I'd only lose like less than a half a liter. This way I think I get the last drop fuel, and hopefully that'll work. If not, I have this is the fuel line they send me. I had to use these Oetker style clamps on everything, because the fuel line they sent me is actually a little bit too big for the fittings they use. So, worm gear clamps just weren't going to cut it. You needed something with some really good tension on them. The heat thing there is actually more for abrasion than heat. You'll see right underneath there, that's where the fuel line's going to come out. So we need to make sure that that's nicely protected, that we're not going to run through. This is also the fuel line that they sent me for the fuel system. I don't know, I can't find a part number on it. The original, made in Italy by Parker Brothers Hose, or Parker Hoses. It's a good quality hose. I use a lot of this braided stuff on the cafes that I do, that are classic bikes being made into cafes. A lot, a few. I've only done a few, so I'm over it. Might sound like I'm exaggerating there. There's only been 2 or 3 so far, but anyways, It's a very nice classic looking fuel line, being cloth covered. What it isn't is pressure rated. It's just a rubber hose. There's no braiding inside there or anything. So what we're going to do for the high pressure side, this being the low pressure side, I don't care. It doesn't need to have anything other than the ability to transfer fluid without leaking. The high pressure side, it makes a difference, though. It's not a big difference, but it does make a difference. So on the high side, I'm actually going to be using braid reinforced high pressure fuel line. It's what you'll see on like the fast fuel injection systems and things like that. So to carry high pressure. This system doesn't run super high pressure, but enough that you're going to lose a few pounds if you use this stuff. So I don't know, maybe they don't understand fuel injection at MST, but regardless, we're not going to use it. Tell you this, if these tanks leak once, they're coming off and going to get replaced with a Clark or trail tank or something like that. I just, you know, one thing after another with this kit. Had enough, don't want to gripe. We're moving forward. Everything's coming together nicely on it. So we'll see you next time. Basically, we're going to close it down for the night. Oh, well, maybe not yet. Okay, so here is the roughed in, really rough prototype to put the Sonora tower on it. The RMS Rally Moto Shop Sonora tower. Everything's just kind of laid in. All the controls are actually connected except for the ignition switch and the ignition switch and the signal lights is about it. Looks pretty good. I like it. The one thing I did was I made this mount. It's really rough machined, like really rough machined. It's just, you know, chewed with a beaver teeth kind of thing. This is their mount here. It's nicely CNC'd machine, all beveled corners. You know, somebody spent some time designing that one. This is supposed to go in here, but I'll show you why I've put it up there. I'm actually designing my own mount for this completely. Sorry, it's hard to do this with just one hand. There we go. So this is how they put it. I don't know whether the KTM is a different head angle or not, but to me, it doesn't really show on the camera, but to me, it's just at the wrong angle. So it's like it's leaning forward, and I don't like that. So I figured it out that this is, you know, an M8 bolt. So from this point to this, from the hole to the edge is about half again. So really, all I have to do is move it about 4 millimeters out, and this is the result. Like that. There it is. Now to me that's sitting at the right angle. So minor thing, just a minor thing. They've done a really nice job, and I'm all hacking it up, trying to make something fit that wasn't supposed to fit there. I hear rumor there's actually a gentleman who's done a plate metal design for this. Don't know anything about it. Just heard rumor. You know how little birdies talk, and so we'll see how it goes. Basically, the next version you're going to see of this, this piece and this piece are all going to be one. We're going to use this thickness all the way down to the bottom, and then I'm going to take out some of the metal inside. So, you know, basically there'll be a nice little contour in here. There'll be a hole in the middle, or a hole up here. I'm not sure. I haven't really finished designing it on Fusion yet. I'm just trying to learn Fusion 360, so we'll see how that goes. And other than that, that's basically one of the things in line is finishing off that bracket. We're getting there. I think tonight or tomorrow night, I'm gonna let it sit like this for tonight, and then tomorrow I'm gonna put some fuel in it let it see, because I have some sealants in there and I want them to set up and dry and do their best that they can do, and give them the best chance of finishing, like holding fuel before I actually throw fuel in there. It's driving me nuts not to finish it off tonight and do all the wiring and see if it actually runs again. And but patience, and we'll get this all fixed up, and we shall see you next time.